This is Rocky Hall with the Lassen County Oath Keepers, Susanville, California, and I'm doing a phone interview with, and go ahead and identify yourself.
My name is Marky.
And can you tell me, are you a Burns County resident?
No, I'm not. I have family that lives over there.
Okay, and you and I have been talking on the telephone, and you've been telling me some things that are going on here, and actually your story's been verified. Somebody else said pretty much the same thing that you did. I wanted you to know that. And so if you can tell me why you contacted me and what your story is, go ahead and just start talking.
Sure. With everything that was happening over there, of course, from the very beginning, I stood behind the Bundys when they were being attacked in Nevada a couple years ago on their land, and then when I heard that they were at the refuge, I was still standing behind them. When I heard that Lavoy had been murdered, I was, just absolutely beside myself, and it was very alarming because there was a part of me that was worried that that was actually going to happen in Nevada, but it didn't. So I had a little bit of confidence that it wasn't going to go in this direction up at the refuge. So when it did happen, I knew immediately that it was a call to action for any and all of us who have had experience with the Bureau of Land Management, United States Forest Service, and the Fish and Wildlife, and have been in agriculture. And I've spent my life, dealing with those agencies and working on ranches and farming. So I had to get involved, and that's what I began to do, is try to become involved. And in the meantime, my family ranches down there in Harney County, and some members of my family had a very threatening encounter with the F.B.I. And they were very harsh, and they, basically assaulted them. I mean, and that's how I feel about it, from what I've heard. So they contacted one of my family members and have left a message. So there was a message on their phone that said, "This is the police, and we would like for you to call us back." But it was a very strange number. It was a very odd number. It was from Virginia. So I was asked to go ahead and call that number back myself and see what was going on. My family member wasn't comfortable with having any more discussion with anyone from any of those agencies. So I made the call, and they were wanting to know, their concern was, how was that family member of mine doing? And this person on the phone would only identify himself as a policeman. And I said, "From where?" "From Oregon." "Well, where at in Oregon?" "Harney County." I said, "Well, you have a Virginia number, so where exactly, who are you? What police agency are you with? Who are you with?" "Well, I'm with the police in Harney County." And I said, "So you're with the F.B.I.? "Yes, ma'am." He says, "Can I get your name, please? Because you have mine." And he had never given me his name, and he kept insisting that I had it. So that part of the conversation had never taken place. So I said, "No, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, sir. What is your name?" And he said his name was Vincent. And I said, "Vincent what?" He goes, "That's all you need to know right now, is that my name is Vincent. What is your name, ma'am?" And I wasn't going to give him my name. In fact, I wanted to get off the phone with him as soon as possible. So I told him to have a nice day, and I hung up the phone.
I know that we're doing this phone interview because you don't want your face on camera, and your family is very, very uncomfortable with what's going on at this time. Can you give any more information that you're comfortable with. I really don't know what to ask you that it won't reveal who you are.
Well, I can just say that, my family had every reason in the world to need to travel on that road. Their livelihood revolves around traveling on that road. And there's livestock and that needs to be cared for each and every day. And they had left the area because of small children the night before when they heard that the F.B.I was setting up out there, and they wasn't quite sure what to expect. I mean, everyone is obviously on very high alert after the murder of a very innocent man. And, we've all watched the video and several times trying to make sense of this shooting. And just it becomes more and more clear every time you watch it that you're never going to make sense of that. They murdered a man, and then they tried to cover it up and make it look like he was reaching for something. So my family felt that, hey, this is kind of a loose cannon situation. We're not really sure what these people's motives are. So we're just going to go ahead and remove the children from the area, stay the night somewhere safe, come back tomorrow, and they felt that that would be safe.
Yes.
And there were guns pointed at my family members' heads for a piece, I believe. And they were put down on the ground, on their knees, handcuffed behind their backs, and then walked while they drove the vehicle. The F.B.I agents drove the vehicle. And so, all of that was, and there was verbal threats made to one of my family members. So, and that's really the reason that everyone is on, everyone's just very alarmed right now because obviously, the history of our country and our forefathers that fought for our freedom and to create this Constitution, it's pretty hard to wrap your head around the fact that we are where we are at today with our government. And so when you begin to start, experiencing these kinds of things, and it's rattled our country from one end to the other, really, and so this is the real, I guess, this is where, the people that have these encounters have these more real experiences from this because it's so very scary when that murder is so fresh in your mind. It happened right there in, the same general area. So, that is, that's the reason why I think a lot of people are scared and a lot of people are coming into the refuge, at night to visit with these people and to learn more about their rights and just to gain more knowledge and become better educated, with, what they had as options. So, I guess with this happening in my family, I really understand where the fear comes from, and the people back away and they're scared, But I just really want the story out there because somebody has to verbalize what happened, and it has to get out to other people because they have to hear this and understand.
Yes.
They have to understand that not only were these people assaulted and completely treated like criminals when all they were trying to do was carry on with their daily chores and tasks, basically like, if you will, if you were to just go to report to your job, wherever it was, and you had to go through that just to get to work, that it's unacceptable. But,
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. I kind of want to go back. I've heard some locals are telling me that when they're taken out of their vehicles and made to walk as the FBI are driving their personal vehicle for them, that something is being done to their car. I was told that somebody was out of their vehicle for approximately 25 minutes while they observed an FBI agent underneath their steering wheel putting something, doing something to their vehicle while they were out of it and the FBI was in it. Can you...
I can verify that absolutely took place with my family situation as well. Exactly. And they had asked them, what are you doing under there? I'm not comfortable with why is that person, working underneath my steering column for such a, why in the first place? If you drive it from checkpoint to checkpoint, that's one thing, but why are they working under the steering column of the vehicle once they get there? And so that was definitely something that was a concern, again, to all of us. And very much feels like a violation. Again, it's a violation, of just your general freedom and liberties. I mean, people should not have the right to overstep those boundaries like that.
Did your family member give them permission to drive their vehicle?
No. In fact, it was stated, I don't want you to drive my vehicle because I don't trust you. I don't trust you people after what you've done. I think it was the next day. It was the day after the murder of LaVoy Finicum is when this happened.
Okay.
And so no one wants, anyone from the FBI
in their own personal vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly.
Well, you're not the only one to tell me that, but you're the only one I've gotten on camera to actually say it. So that's why I wanted to ask you as well. These videos that I'm doing seem to be reaching quite a number of people. And so is there anything that you want to say about your personal feelings about living in this community and how it's affected you and your family? I know you've touched on it quite a bit, but you're talking to a little bit of a bigger audience, and what is it that you really want to say?
Well, what I really want to say to people, we did a rally in Reno on the day of LaVoy's funeral, and I stood on a very busy intersection and held signs up, and I noticed many people, a high percentage of the people, are scared to even look at you. They're scared to even look you in the eye. They're so scared of any kind of confrontation that they can't even look to just educate themselves with the name alone. And that's my biggest concern, is that I just want people to be brave, and I want people to trust their instincts, and I want them to follow their hearts. And I just want people to really think about, all that we do have at stake. And what, like I said before, what our forefathers actually fought for. And it's not just us today, but we have children and grandchildren, and these things need to be secured for those people in the future too. And so I just say, above anything else, you don't even have to pick a side right now. Educate yourself. Learn your Constitution. Find classes and get in there and learn your Constitution. Learn your rights. And then help to educate others, and definitely educate your children. And that would be my biggest goal. That is my biggest goal right now.
So this has affected you pretty deeply.
Oh, very much. Well, it has affected me my entire life. Like I said, we've got years. My entire life has been one fight after the other with the B.L.M or the Forest Service or Nature Conservancy. I mean, some kind of government agency, environmentalist agency, and they really put an impact a negative impact on the American producer. And they paint them out to be the bad guys all the time. And the thing that people maybe in the cities and bigger areas don't realize is that, if you eat today, you need to thank a farmer. You need to thank a rancher. And these jobs are not easy, and oftentimes we have to hold down jobs in town, and then we have to come home and take care of the animals that eventually end up on someone's plate. And so it's really, it's imperative that these people, that there's a force that stands behind these people and helps the American producers continue to do what they've been doing. Or, and I hate to say it like this, but we're all going to be standing in long government lines waiting for the subsidies, their food subsidies to be able to feed our family. And that's where the freedom is no longer going to be there. So it's just important, for us to understand kind of like that circle of life and how it goes. And these ranchers and farmers they're a key element to all of our survival, and not just in this country, but around the world as well,
Your family's been ranchers in this general area for how long?
Oh, since early 70s.
And so they've been having these issues for a while.
Yeah, and in Nevada and Northern California, we've been around, in different areas, and it's the same story everywhere you go. It's not just a Harney County issue. It is an American issue.
I agree with you on that one. I think that's why I started recording and interviewing people, because people of Harney County don't realize they are now, but it is not just unique to Harney County. It's not.
No, and it's been, slow and steady, like the taking away the grazing permits, back, oh gosh, I don't know, in the 50s, but, I believe people started losing their permits, and the other ranchers didn't stand with them, because, it was another permit that was on the market. It was something they might be able to pick up, raise their numbers, and that's kind of the way it happened initially, and people didn't really rally together. And then the control began to get bigger and bigger through these agencies because of that reason right there. But, the cattle numbers have been getting smaller and smaller, and then not only did it become a major issue for these ranchers to lose their permits, but there's another way that they come and attack the rancher, and those are the trespasses. So when your livestock trespass, they get gathered, they get fined, you have to basically go buy them back. And it gets ugly, and it gets expensive, and it puts people out of business. And if you just look back at the increase of wildfires that have taken place across this country in my lifetime alone in the last 20 years, and it's because that creates a larger revenue. Fighting these fires creates a larger revenue for these agencies than giving the ranchers these grazing rights on these lands, at a very minimum amount of money.
Right.
So there's a big circle to it. There's a big reason for it. It all revolves around money, government funding, and it doesn't revolve around our basic survival, though, as a country, and caring for our people, and again caring for our lands. Because if these lands were being properly cared for, they wouldn't be burning up millions of acres every year. It just wouldn't be happening.
So you're saying responsible grazing?
Absolutely. We have natural resources out there. We have God-given natural resources, and our country is blessed with an ample amount of them, and it goes into logging and grazing. And basically, it's like harvesting your garden, just think of it on a smaller scale. If you just let your tomatoes just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you don't harvest them when they're ripe, they go to waste.
Yes.
It's the same it's the same principle on a much larger scale. You know, we are not utilizing our resources in this country. We are literally burning them up.
Yes.
And it's basically a war. It's a war on the people. It's a war on the producers. People are unemployed. There's the small businessmen and women are getting pushed out, and it's getting burned up.
I'm at 20 minutes on this interview. How would you like to close this? Just
All I want to say to everyone is be brave. Educate yourself. Think about it. You know, this is not rocket science. This is really not rocket science. We have to get back to our roots, and that's all I want to say.
I truly appreciate you doing this interview with me because you've been a wealth of knowledge. The people in this town are just, they're scared. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to help themselves. I'm doing everything that I can to help them help themselves. You've been an asset, and I want to thank you so much. I'm gonna sign off with that. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, thank you. And it was just by the grace of God that we were connected in the first place. So we got to get the message out. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I'm going to stop recording at this time and continue to talk to you.
Okay.
This is Rocky Hall from the Lassen County, California Oath Keepers signing out.